Progress.
Hunters, welcome back to another Flushing and Dustin podcast. For everybody that is on YouTube, we appreciate you for tuning in to the live video. Feel free to drop comments. We'll try to answer those along the way. But tonight we have Ryan Lohman. Is that how you say your last name?
Correct, man. You got it.
Awesome. Also known as Upland Edge on Instagram. So definitely be sure to go check him out. He works for Huntwise App or is part owner, so we'll get into that a little bit into the podcast. But Ryan, if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you guys having me on. Ryan Lohman in Minnesota up here. Mainly upland hunt. I've only deer hunted once in my life, but upland, pheasant, sharptails, sometimes rough, depending upon where we're at. But yeah, I work for Huntwise. We call ourselves the ultimate hunting tool set. We do hunting predictions. We have maps, public land layers, all that stuff, property lines, all the goods. I work there as a product owner / project manager. Been there for little over a year now, so that's fun. But yeah, I got a golden retriever, kind of like you guys like to run, and then I got an American Brittany as well. So do majority of my hunting up here in Minnesota, but have ventured out on a few occasions. So I'm excited for this, man. This is fun.
Yeah, for sure. How long has the Huntwise app been around?
They were founded in 2015 or 16, depending upon who you talk to.
Okay.
I was employee number 15, and then earlier this year or late last year, we got bought out by a company called Calcami, who does all of the hunter and boater education courses online. So now we're kind of a small business unit amongst like 3 or 4 business units with 150, 200 employees. So, but the Huntwise crew is still around like 17, 18 people. So it's a tight knit family and a lot of fun.
Yeah, that does.
How'd you come across that?
Dude, funny story. So I worked for a company called Sports Engine for a while. We built websites for youth sports associations, and I was like, I was kind of getting done with it. I've been there for almost 6.5 years, and I was kind of getting bored and kind of wanted to pursue something in a passion of mine. And so I reached out to Huntwise's VP of engineering and was just like, hey, if you guys never need anybody on the product side, project management, anything like that, dude, like I'm in. And talked to him on the phone, and 6 months later they reached back out and were like, we're ready. And so just super lucky, man. Just threw my name in the hat and just said, put myself out there, and they were all for it. And so they hired a director of product, and then they needed somebody to manage the day-to-day work underneath him. And so that's what I've been doing for the past year.
Shit, that's pretty legit.
Yeah, man, it's cool. Working in software is what I've been doing since I didn't even graduate college, man. I did 2 years and then got a job at my company doing customer support, and I worked my way up there. And so doing software, just working in software has been a passion of mine. And then I was able to combine it with now hunting is quite incredible, man.
That is awesome. And sometimes the best way to learn is on the job.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no better way.
Teach you so much.
Exactly.
So do they take any advice from you for this app? So that we know to stay away from it.
Say that again?
So that we know what to stay away from.
Yeah, so there actually isn't that much like people are always afraid of like if they drop pins and stuff, like these guys get to see where everything is at, and like no, I don't get to see anything about anybody's stuff or any like hot spots or where people are going, but I do know like the amount of pins. I do get to see where the amount of pins are. I don't get to see where anything is, so I'm not stealing anybody's spots. But it is cool because when the public land layers do come out, you do see them right away. So not that they're really hidden; they're all public. I don't get to see any back end information that nobody else does. But so it has its perks. But I'm not stealing anybody's spots.
What is you talked about hunt predictions on the
Yeah.
app. Can you explain what that means and what type of calculations I guess you guys are using to?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a product called Huntcast, and that's kind of like our bread and butter. Partnered with Jeff Sturgis on that. He's a big whitetail guy here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa. And basically, it's an algorithm. We've been primarily a deer hunting app for east of the Mississippi. So I always like to think the bigger our enemies are west of the Mississippi, big game hunting and all that, and we're east of the Mississippi, whitetail hunting. And so Huntcast takes, we do all predictions for all species, but with whitetail mainly, we use barometric pressure, temperature, wind, basically anything you can think of that could impact deer movement. We put into an algorithm, then we give you a score, a percentage that says this is the best day to go hunting, or this is the best day based on these conditions, and then we explain what those conditions are and why they impact it. We have like I said, we have every species, but the main few that the algorithm is heavy on is turkey, deer, and I would say elk and bear. So, I mean, you guys are upland hunters. I mean, we can go outside and we say it's a good day to go hunting. I'm going to go hunting. Like I could find birds no matter what.
Yeah.
The only thing we're really worried about is if they sit tight or if they're going to be skittish. So like, there's not much to predict there.
Yeah.
But
You
with
guys-
the whitetail stuff, it's tough.
You guys do. I can't remember if it's your app that does the waterfowl type like wind and which way you should like set up your decoys and stuff. Is that you guys?
We actually do not. I have like designs that I could pull up that show us working on that potentially, but no, we don't have that implemented yet. We hope to, but with the amount of resources we have compared to some of the other guys, it's small pickings on what we can do every year.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Awesome. Yeah, well, that sounds like a pretty legit app for some people to check out and whatnot. But so we'll get back and talking to you and what you're about and whatnot. And so it looks like your golden is aging.
Yeah, man.
How is it? A he or she?
It's a he, Levi.
Levi.
Yeah, he's sitting laying down here behind me. He just
Nice.
turned 8. We got him from a farm breeder for like $250 out of a newspaper ad. Back when my wife and I had just moved in together. My dad had recently, the year before that, bought a brother from a different litter, and no papers or anything. And I'd always grown up with Goldens, so seeing another Golden come through the house, I was like, all right, this is what I want for us, and we did it. And my dad wasn't ever big about like papers or having the best bloodlines or anything, so brought him home, man, and he's been phenomenal. You never know what you're going to get, and you just kind of got to cater your lifestyle to how you want them to fit in. So he's been awesome. But yeah, he's 8, man. He's getting up there.
Yeah, for sure. Did you start hunting him right away or?
Yeah, so I actually still have videos from like the first time we were at the game farm when that would have been the fall then. So he was like 6 months old by the time we were getting him on birds. And I will say, and you guys know this, having an older dog in the pack, like him having his older brother who was 1.5 years at the time, made that so much easier. They see them doing it. They learn so much just hunting with other dogs. So that was quite easy transition for us.
Yeah, for sure.
He's kind of like me. He hasn't aged gracefully.
What?
He hasn't aged gracefully.
Oh, jeez. He has as much gray.
As your dog does in my lab, he's gonna be 8, and he doesn't have hardly any gray on him at all.
Yeah, man. He's actually been having gray on his snout since he was like. We look at Snapchat memories of him, like even today, and we're like, holy cow, he was so dark. Like we got questions asking if he was an Irish setter at some point, just because like of how dark he was. And that gray, man, when it hit that face, it spread real quick, and he's got gray hairs down the back. And so you could definitely point to genetics for that and saying that like, well, that's kind of like how you know when a good bloodline is there is, I would assume, aging and grayness, and the coat probably comes along with that. So he's still in his prime though. Like he doesn't tire any easier than he did when he was 2 or 3. So that's good. I'm not looking forward to when that day comes. Hopefully, we got another season or 2 before that happens. But yeah, man, he got gray real quick, and everybody comments on that. Is he like 9 or 10? I'm like, no, he's 6. And now that he's 8, everybody even continues to ask. So
It's kind of like Nick.
He was 16.
Yeah, Nick's been.
How old are you?
Nick's been gray forever.
That's awesome.
Since high school, man.
That's crazy. You still have your hair though, right?
Oh yeah, 35.
Sort of.
Those are some, luscious locks.
More than Tyler.
Hey, I purposely
Touche.
cut mine. Otherwise, I have
Smart.
I have the old man look where half my hair is still there and half
Little
it's
horseshoe.
not. Yeah.
Little horseshoe in the back.
It is what it
Nothing
is.
wrong with that.
Yeah. So what drew you to getting the Britneys then?
Yeah, so my dad's best friend he did run, unfortunately, they just passed away last year. He had a set of German short hairs. And I always thought it was cool. He ran beeper calls beeper collars on them. So anytime they locked up on point, the collar would start beeping. And for about 2 years, both my dad's dog and my dog, my golden, picked up on that. And like as soon as they heard the beep, they were making a beeline to that noise. And I was like, that's kind of badass. Like I kind of want something like that. And then getting into looking into like the certain breeds, we didn't want a big dog, and a Brittany was kind of met our requirements. But then funny enough, my dog, he's 4. He's a Brittany. He's completely afraid of beeping noises, and he has been since he was a puppy. So my like grand plan was to do the beeping collar and have my golden pick up on it like it was before, and that went out the window within the first year just because I started using that beeping collar and like trying to introduce it to him in the car on the way to run him, and he absolutely hated it. Couldn't get used to it. We have like if a low battery goes off in one of our smoke detectors, all my dogs hate it. So like it didn't work out. I run them together for the most part, and it works out. But my big dream of having that beeper collar and having it work out didn't actually come to fruition.
Yeah. How has it been learning to hunt from a flusher and then running a pointing dog, and how do they work together in the field?
Yeah, like when I first had the Brittany, everybody who I talked to and their mother was like, "Don't run the Brittany with the golden right away." And I feel like I hunt a decent amount, but not enough to where like I have enough time to put one away and then run the other one. Like I would feel guilty leaving one in the car. So I was like, screw it. If my Brittany becomes a flusher, he becomes a flusher, like whatever. And I really haven't had issues. My Brittany Colt will run 40 to 60 yards just naturally. And my golden will run 20 to 30 naturally, and so I don't really call back my Brittany. I've never not trusted him. He'll lock up on a point, he'll hold a point till I get there. And so I've never had an issue running them together, and if anything, my golden likes it better because he's gotten a little more lazy in the field as far as like just sticking around, and he sees him lock up on point, and when he does, he darts over there. But he's kind of realized he's taken his role as the retriever, and that bird goes down, and I find him to be a damn good retriever. Not many birds get away from us. But yeah, man, it's worked out really well for not a lot of like training them together per se.
Yeah. Did they have many issues when you first started them in the field together, or did it just basically go smooth the whole time?
Yeah, I think I got pretty lucky. I mean, I will say going back, like the first 2 times, I think I had my Brittany out in the field by himself just because he was I'm talking like I think I got him in the fall, so I didn't hunt him until that next year. So he was a year old, first time on wild birds. I didn't want any distractions. It was just me and a buddy, and he did just fine. And once he held point for the first time, or it was like 2 times in 2 hunts, he held pretty steady, and I was like, all right, screw it. Now I'm not. It's just leaving the dog back in the kennel is just not something I'm able to do, and I know how much they want to be out there.
Yeah, hope that makes sense.
My second dog this fall, I'm always debating with Tyler. What am I gonna do this? What's gonna be my key, and how do I, because I'm getting a poodle pointer. So
Okay.
How do I put this poodle pointer with my retriever, and go from there? So it'll be. I'm probably gonna do what you do. Go out and hunt the poodle pointer once he's good. Be like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you guys had another guy on recently that talked about that, right? And how he manages the two, the flusher and the pointer in the field together. And he had some decent tips, it sounded like. So I'm obviously not a training expert. That guy sounded like he knew more about it than I did, and he took it way more diligently and probably the way I should have done it. But man, I always say, like, you hear some of these guys who talk all about the right way to do things, and the right way is the way you want to do it when it comes to your dogs and how you want to hunt them. So as long as you're doing it the way you want to do it and your dogs aren't causing you issues, just do what you do and do what you love with them. So I don't see any issues doing it that way.
No, I agree with that 100%. And I mean, every dog's different. Everybody's training style is different, and at the end of the day, as long as they're getting you on birds and you're enjoying your days of field, and the dogs are getting to enjoy what they do and you're having a good time with it, that's about all you can ask for.
And as long as they're not 4 years, or I'll give them 3 years old and older and bumping birds, then it's all game. If they're still a pup, man, I always tell my buddies who get new dogs, I've literally had like 3 buddies get new dogs in the past 3 years, and I tell them every time, like, we're not gonna care. Your dog's 6 months old. If he runs off and bumps birds, dude, it's no big deal. We're not out here to shoot the birds. We're out here to get that dog on wild game. So,
Yeah, that's something that's funny because I talk about all the time. It's always like, hey, how are we gonna do this? We get some pretty good private land spots. We talked about when my pups ready to go. We'd hunt our older dogs and get, depending on how many guys are with us, 3 or 4 birds, and then kennel them up, let each one get a retrieve, and then come back and let him finish off the next two, just to just get him on birds, those wild birds. It makes a huge.
that's perfect. Yeah, exactly. And that's the best thing is, and there's memes about it all the time about dogs who only see pen raised birds and stuff, and you take them in the wild and they don't know what to do. So having friends who have access to private land, which is lucky enough for me, we have access as well. Getting that wild bird contact at such a young age is so important for a dog. If you just go to a game farm time after time, there's only so much you can learn.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think it means something to have a friend that's willing to, a lot of guys won't kennel their dog. Nope.
Yeah.
I'm out here hunting. My dog's going. It's not that I don't want your dog to get birds. I do, but we need to. This is our future right here, so we need to kind of work him into the group a little bit, or her into the group a little bit, get him going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always hard, to as an owner to put your dog up, but it's also like it's one day, right? Now, if someone was like every hunt, like, oh, you got to put your dog up, I'd be like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
But like, obviously, like I said, introducing a dog, especially if you're on those prime, if you have like some good private ground to get that
For sure.
new dog, some like great work to get some birds that maybe just aren't running wild that we all have to freaking chase after, that are going to sit there and let the dog, if you're hunting with a flusher, if you're hunting with a pointer, let the dog point on it, let it learn what it is, let us get close, like that's just a great experience for such a young dog.
Yeah, absolutely. And with flushers, I always feel like if your dog's under a year old, there's no better training than going out on wild birds with people who have other flushing dogs. Like they'll be like, oh, I don't want him to. All he's gonna do is chase other dogs around. It's like, as long as those other dogs don't snap back or anything, and he's following those dogs, they're gonna flush a bird eventually, and then that pup, it'll snap at some point. Might not be right away, but they'll get that aha moment, being like, oh shit, this is what we're out here to do. Like that bird goes up, and I can get that scent, and so. But yeah, once those dogs kind of understand what they're out there for, running them solo and putting your dog up for a half hour, an hour isn't going to kill you.
No. And you got to remember, at some point, you're going to be the guy that has the brand new dog in the group. So if you don't treat the other person that brings in the brand new dog with some respect and let them work their young dog, then you can't expect that when you have your new dog.
Exactly. There's a cycle to all of it. If my dog's 8 and your dog's 3 or 1 or 2, I'm going to be in your same situation in a few years eventually, man, for unfortunate reasons. But yeah, man, it all kind of comes back full circle when that happens.
You don't think about this. Here's a question. Retriever Brittany.
If I have to go out and like for one field, which one am I taking?
One dog. I told you not to think about it. You're just supposed to respond.
My golden right now. He's just been all reliable for too long, man. Like, yeah, and I know for a fact he'll retrieve. I don't know if my Brittany, if I down to rooster, if he'll bring it all the way back to hand. He'll try, but I don't know if he'll. Well, I don't even know if he would do that. But yeah, I'm going my golden. He's all reliable.
Yeah, I was trying to play that game with you. What's that called? Fuck one, kill one.
Yeah. But the question is so it goes back to the old, it's like choosing which one of your kids is your favorite, right? Like, I mean, I guess everybody probably has one, but still, you don't want to sit out. I love my Brittany's, his drive, man. He'll go forever, dude. Like, he's so much fun to watch. But like I said, the retrieving part, I didn't stress it enough when he was a puppy. Well, I did, but like I did the tennis ball thing, and I learned later on after that playing fetch with a small dog with a tennis ball could end up ruining their retrieving skills, because all they want to do is pick up something the size of a ball all day, and when they get out there to a rooster and they're like, holy shit, I've never brought anything back this big before. Why would I do that now? So like, I never stressed retrieving with like a big dummy or anything on him. And my Golden's always been really good at it. So, um, yeah, he's Mr. Reliable when it comes to being out there. So I'd have to pick him.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's in the room with me right now too. So if he heard me say something different, I'd be in trouble.
Can't go piss him off. That's ridiculous.
Exactly.
So did you grow up upland hunting?
Yeah. So my dad would bring me out. We have MEA week or weekend out up here in Minnesota. It's basically the second week of the season in October. It's like a teachers conference week. So I would go out to our family land. My mom grew up out in western Minnesota, out by Appleton, and she has 5 brothers, and most of them have some sort of land that we're able to hunt. And so my dad would go out there for the full week from opener to the following weekend, and then I would join him halfway through the week every year growing up. Like it was tradition. I'd sit in the truck, I'd go farming with my uncles, whatever it was, and that's kind of how it started. He was strictly like a pheasant hunter. Like he's never been any big trips. It's just been kind of like the fun thing to do with the guys. You go out, you drink beer, you have fun. Like he's just super laid back. I mean, he takes it seriously when he's out there, but like he's not the one that's going to be going to Hell's Canyon to hunt chukar or down to Arizona to hunt quail. Like, so yeah, it's kind of how it started and been doing it ever since. Now I've taken it and it's become a passion. So I'm trying to do those trips, and I try to talk him into being up for it, but nothing yet.
Yeah. Have you taken any trips yourself yet, or planning any trips?
My biggest trip, well, I wouldn't call it biggest. So last year, my wife and then at the time, my 15-month-old son, we did a road trip out to Yellowstone, and we brought our Brittany with, and we stopped, I think 2 or 3 times, and we hunted for blue grouse and rough grouse and the bighorns out in Wyoming. I actually met up with a guy through Instagram or the Try Upland app actually,
Okay.
and we met up, and he took me out, um, and we hunted for blue grouse. That was insane, dude. I want to do that again so badly. That was super cool to hunt like in a mountainous area. We flushed 3 or 4 blue grouse, never close enough to get shots off. We took pop shots, but nothing that was close enough to actually make contact with. And then I do a trip up north to the Canadian border every year, which is about 6 to 6.5 hours north of us, and we go hunt sharptails up in northwest Minnesota. So a very well kept secret is the sharp-tailed grouse population in Minnesota. It's not a secret, but there's sharp-tailed grouse up there. You can run into woodcock, rough grouse, and sharp-tails all in the same hunt. Completely different style than North Dakota hunting, where I'd love to get to next. But that's kind of a big annual trip every year just because of how far away it actually is. And to be able to hunt sharp-tails in Minnesota is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I've never even. We would just hit up Sharpies last year. We got lucky at a spot out in South Dakota where we found them. But what is the population? I maybe just missed that. What is the population like up in Minnesota for?
It's so I actually didn't even know about it till about 4 years ago now, and
Okay.
they had a population in the northwest corner on the border, basically bordering North Dakota and then up to Canada. There's a decent sized population. We also have prairie chickens as well, but that's a lottery only up there.
Okay.
So got to continue. I think I have a reminder on my phone to put in for the for the application this year. And then we do have a very small population in northeast Minnesota, up by the Duluth area, just south of there. And I think last season or the season before, it was both seasons they didn't have a hunting season there for the first time in a while. So that one's kind of getting smaller. But the one in northwest Minnesota is doing pretty well. It's just completely different cover. There are more around trees than they are out west. It's very different hunts. Like all the tips and stuff I listen to on podcasts about traditional sharptail hunting, it goes out the window when it comes to Minnesota. It's just different. The landscape is as big as North Dakota, but like there's trees, there's willows, they hide in thicker cover, so makes it quite challenging.
Yeah. Did how long is your sharptail and prairie chicken season?
Yeah, so Sharptail goes from the middle of September until the end of October, I think, or the beginning of November. I
It's
can't
not
remember.
too long then.
No, it's not very long. And the later in the season it gets, the harder they like. damn near impossible to hunt because they group up and they have one bird on watch and they get up so far away. So we always joke with the locals up there like, oh, we'll be back. We're gonna come back up. We got to come back up. And they're like, you won't, and you don't want to. Like the birds won't be there. But it's funny when you go up there, man. These guys are super small towns, and they're big bear hunting area. And so we'll go up there and be like, you up here to bear hunt? And we're like, no, we're here to sharp-tailed grouse hunt. And you're like, you're gonna hunt what? And they like can't believe that people actually like drove all this way to go hunt them. So it's been fun to get to know the locals, and we stay at a guy's place who we've met up there. So it's really, really cool area.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is he a landowner?
One of them is not very big, but there's so much public land up there. Surprisingly enough, like we haven't hit it all in the 3 or 4 years we've been going up there, and we have spots that we hit, but there's so much public land in Northwest Minnesota. It's kind of crazy.
What's the lottery process for the chickens?
Yeah, so there's different zones. There's a dozen or 2 dozen zones that you pick from, and you pick one zone, you go in for the lottery, and they pick depending upon the zone. There's like 5 get picked, and then there's some that have like 24, and the one that obviously has more, there's I think the ones that have more are a lesser chance or a better chance. I can't remember how they worded on there. I haven't looked this year yet. But yeah, and then you can do a party one too, so where you and like 4 guys can go in as well, and you just rack up points every year. And so last year was my first year. I didn't get it, hoping there's a good chance for this year because it's not very well known to go prairie chicken hunting in Minnesota. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, do you have any birds mounted?
I personally haven't. No, I have an albino one in my basement right now that's from my dad. And then I had another one that I was holding on to from my dad, but I personally actually haven't had a pheasant mounted yet. I'm kind of waiting for like a super abnormally long tail, or I've been thinking about, and this is so bad because like I hate thinking about it, but like when it is time for one of my dogs to go like mounting their last bird or doing something with that last bird. But we have seen, there was one, we had a leucistic, I think that's how you say it, bird that my cousin, who's a photographer out west, caught on camera. She wouldn't tell me where. She wouldn't tell me where she saw it on and what part of the property it was on. And so I think it'd be cool to get a bird like that. It was just like subtly white on the back, like nothing crazy, but like enough to where you could be like, that bird, that looks a little different. And so if I either got an abnormally long tail on a rooster at least, or some sort of coloration on a wild bird, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty neat.
I wish I would have done my first sharp tail. I wish I would have done that because we went up there, and this was my first time going up there. We woke up at like 6 a.m. You could hunt at sunrise, and we see this flock fly off the dirt road across this public land, and we go out there, and I shoot my limit in like 30 minutes, like on cloud 9. Never shot a sharp tail, never seen a sharp tail in my life, and go up there, and within like an hour I have my limit. And in the moment, I just got too excited. We cleaned the birds because it was about to rain. We cleaned the birds, went to the bar by like 11 because we got this like nasty storm that rolled in. And after I was sitting at the bar, I was like, dude, why the hell did I not keep one of those birds? It was the stupidest thing in the world. I wish I would have kept it. But I think going forward with each new species that I get, that's what I would like to do, is get a mount of one.
That's what I did with last year. We caught, or I shot a sharp tail. And
Nice.
No dogs flushed it. We flushed it. Actually, and Tyler's dog actually retrieved it. Lola did.
Nice.
It's kind of one of those things, Well, my dog didn't get it, but I don't know if I'll read it. I don't know. I don't know if I'll get a sharp tail again. I don't know. I'm not.
Where in South Dakota were you guys? Area, not asking for towns or anything.
like center South Dakota, basically.
Yeah.
Right in the center.
Just say you're along the river, and that won't give it away or anything. But
it was east of Chamberlain,
okay,
and then up a little bit from there. But
okay.
we were surprised because normally sharptail aren't found in that area. And then actually, there's a video of it. I actually thought it was a Hungarian partridge because just kind of how it was flying. So I was
sure.
is that a Hun? And there's a sharptail, and so I'm actually getting mounted by Corey Carthers. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's like nationally known. down here in
I
Iowa.
don't, dude. I've heard of so many. Like, I go on Facebook every day, and you see everybody asking for taxidermy recommendations, so they all blend together at that point. But that's awesome. Did you, when you guys were doing that, did you have like intentions of going after sharptails, or was it just like random since you said they weren't known for that area?
No, so we know a farmer up there, and we've been in contact with him for the last 4-ish years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's let us hunt his property all this time. Well, we went to the piece of property that he always lets us hunt, and there was somebody hunting it. Well, here find out that it's his stepson. He just got married.
Oh,
and so
shit.
his stepson was hunting it. So I called him and I was like, "Hey," I was like, "There's somebody out here." He's
Mhm.
like, "Oh shit, that's my stepson." He goes, "Well, I got a place that I actually don't let anybody hunt, and if you come out here," he goes, "I know I've seen some birds out here." So go out there, and we saw like 2 pheasants. Didn't get any of them, but I don't know, a covey of 10, 12 sharptail were flying around.
It was a good amount of them.
So yeah,
That's
so we
insane.
ended up what did we get? Two or
2.
three of them. I shot one, and then Josh shot one.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got 2 of them.
That's
So
awesome, man.
it was pretty wild, and actually that made our trip because that was better than getting roosters. We could shoot those anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and like I when you said that when you got up and you thought it was something else, I thought you were immediately going to say I thought it was a hen pheasant, because that's what I was like most worried about right away, and I didn't know that there wasn't even a pheasant population up where we were hunting sharptails. And so you can completely tell, like, now that I've done it before, you can tell the difference. But like that's what my biggest worry was, that if a sharptail gets up and be like, "Oh shit, wait, is that a hen?" Nope, because you hear them laughing and you can tell by the size of their tails and stuff. But
Yeah, so we actually got a sharptail is quite a bit bigger than the Hungarian partridge, but
for sure.
when we got a Hungarian 2 years ago.
Yeah.
What was it, Tyler?
Yeah.
And at first, none of us knew what that was either, because we don't see those in Iowa.
I was going to say, you guys have a small population, but
yeah. And we ended up, it was just one, a single partridge.
That's
and
so weird.
We ended up getting him. But no, we would never shot. And then all of a sudden, we was like, "Oh, shoot." So we shot it, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
That's weird. Is that your first hunt
know,
you've seen down there before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then past year, we actually shot a woodcock too. I shot the woodcock. Tyler kicked it up and came across, and I shot a woodcock. That was the first woodcock I ever got too.
Yeah, woodcock are so weird, man. They'll hide in the weirdest places. And do you guys ever target quail down there at all? I know the population's kind of diminished a little bit, but
if we can find
used to.
them.
Yeah, we haven't had any quail. Like, so there was a year. I've never really heard this story before, but Tyler and I bought new guns a few years back. We couldn't hit shit with them. Well, I went out, and Diesel actually put me on 3 roosters in about 45 minutes, and I missed all 3 of them with this new gun I had. So I went. I'm not even shitting you, and they were close too, because I'll always say he's a pointing retriever. He pulls up and he points, and he usually holds it until I get close, and then whatnot. Well, he pointed on all these birds, and I went up and missed every fucking one of them. So I literally quit and walked out of the field, didn't hunt the field anymore, went back and got my 12 gauge because I brought that, and I went to a different field, and we pulled up, and he did like a flash point real quick and went in, and a bunch of quail got up, and if I didn't shoot 3 quail out of 1 flush, yeah, with my 12 gauge, and I'm like, I can hit these birds that are this small, but a bird that's this big, I can't even hit it. So
Diesel had to have been confused as all get out, man.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you guys, we actually have a small population of Hungarian partridge as well up in northwest Minnesota, surprisingly enough, and we saw them we were driving back home, and we saw them on the side of the highway, and they all flushed real quick out of the gravel side of the paved road, and they got up, and I was like, "What the hell was that? Those were not Tweety birds." And I was like, "Those were Huns, like 100% Huns. The first time I've ever seen Huns in my life." And I called the guy who we meet up with a lot up there, and he's like, "Yeah, we've been seeing them around a lot more lately." So I think we've killed woodcock, rough grouse, and sharptails obviously up there. And so maybe a little Minnesota Hungarian partridge action. I think it's so cool to be able to like kill a vast amount of species in your home state, especially if you don't have to like go. It obviously is fun to go to bigger and better places, but to say you did something in your home state, I always feel like is kind of prideful and cool. So I didn't know you guys had Huns down there at all, so that's kind of cool.
They're more north, I think.
North towards you guys actually.
Yeah, because there used to be a small population, I think, in southeast Minnesota by like Rochester or something down in that area. So I guess that makes sense. But I wish we had quail, man. I wish Iowa had quail because it's a shorter drive to get into as well. Basically, I'd have to go to Nebraska if I wanted to get into them, which I would love to. But Iowa would be perfect if you guys could get that population up, would you? So we can come down there and have more hunters down there.
Tyler and I have talked about doing the Nebraska Grand Slam. Is that what it's called? I don't remember.
Yeah. They do the
the four birds. What is it? Sharptail, bobwhite quail, pheasant, and then
prairie chicken. I think
it's prairie chicken. Yeah.
I think more states should do that. I mean, I think it's a cool thing to get people out there, and get like even like the diehards, like I could say to like myself and you guys, just like something to like. I mean, brag about it. I don't want to say brag about, but just something to like a goal to achieve. Like we all go out and shoot a limit of roosters, not whenever we want, but a decent amount of times. And I think it'd be cool to like for Iowa, you could do a quail. I don't know if you could do Huns. I'm trying to think. Do you guys have any other
pheasant?
It's kind of
quail.
surprising.
Maybe dove. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to count that dove. I mean, honestly, if I was going to do something like that, it'd be more for Diesel to accomplish it. Like
sure.
That'd be like, all right, Diesel, we just dominated this shit. So perfect.
Yeah, and saying like my dog in his lifetime has retrieved this amount of species, I think is kind of cool. So like, and it's weird that we could like in Minnesota we could do sharptail, prairie chicken, rough grouse, woodcock, pheasant. So we could do like 4 or 5, and people like it wouldn't be a detriment to the population. But even states like South Dakota and North Dakota, Montana, like I don't know. I think those slams are kind of cool. It's a goal for a hunter to set out and achieve. You know.
Well, not only that might benefit the population too if you think about it. Like instead of me just sticking with pheasant, now I'm like, oh, I got one pheasant. Why don't I try to go for bobwhite quail now? Why don't I try to go to sharptail or prairie chicken?
Exactly.
Like you're kind of spreading it out, and now you're chasing one individual bird instead of, hey, I'm going to go pheasant hunt every day.
Yeah, it's like this Saturday, instead of going after the same bird I'd go after every weekend, I'm going to go drive 2 hours this way and try for this, and it continues keeps the population alive in other places.
So that might benefit in states doing programs like that. Actually.
I think we just figured it out actually. So if they want to talk, they can hit us up.
I mean,
we'll take that extra revenue.
We can put it in one of your apps.
Yeah, there we go. We can start giving out awards.
It's interesting that you guys have sharptails and prairie chickens, and there's not, with as far north as you guys are, and there's nothing in Iowa.
That's what I don't really understand, and especially with Iowa having
a
history.
What's your terrain that they live in like? Is it prairies like South Dakota? Is it, you know?
Yeah, so like where we hunt sharptail, like there's definitely a lot of that prairie for sharptails. There's places where grass is really high, and I'm sure you guys know this. They like calf level. They don't like knee level or higher grass, and so there's a lot of that up there. But they've definitely adapted to like we found most of our birds not even out in the open prairie, like along tree lines, in willow cover and big patches of trees, and so or obviously around like berry bushes and stuff as well. But it's different in the fact that like if you're in North Dakota, you can look 5 miles to your west and you just see open prairie, and here you look 5 miles to your west and you see like 2 miles of prairie and then just wooded area, and where you could go hunt rough grouse or woodcock even. So I would just say they've adapted a lot better to the area, and they're even in Canada too. I'm sure you guys probably know that, but I've watched videos on YouTube of guys up in just north of us hunting them out in like pasture fields up there. So it's different terrain, but
up north from Minnesota.
Yeah,
when they kill all those birds, or they don't go after much.
I don't think they go after them as much because there's a pretty healthy deer population up there, and you can hunt elk in Minnesota. Funny enough, we have a pretty healthy elk population. I think they pick 5 to 10 people a year to go up there and shoot elk. but so there's a decent population of deer and elk up there. We've never seen a wolf. We know they're up there. We've been told about them, and we've seen black bear while we've been up there before too. But it's a good question about the wolves eating the Sharpies. I haven't heard anybody say anything about that, but I mean, I could see that being an issue too. But I think their biggest thing is just getting through winters and springs, just like any upland bird up here. And we're having a hell of a spring for rain up here, that's for sure. So
yeah, I think it's going to be a healthy hatch this year based on what we've had too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Doesn't seem like there's too much flooding by any means. Not yet, anyway.
We got hit like 2 weeks ago out in western Minnesota where like I think they had like 11 inches of rain in 2 days, and it was like right at the end. It was like in the beginning of May, I think is when it was, and they had some tornadoes and stuff. And so I think it was early enough though to where like birds could rehatch, and so we're not too concerned yet. It could end up just being perfect for it if it was at the right time, because now they've had a decent last couple of weeks. But it's always scary, not just never knowing until like you get out there and scout in like July and August if like we go out there and visit family. It's always eerie until you get out there and actually start seeing birds flying, where you're like, I don't know, man. Did that one storm on that one weekend in May like just wipe them out? And so I hate that feeling.
Well, actually, did you hear the derecho that came through Iowa?
Yeah, we had one.
Yes.
That's kind of what it was up here too. Yeah.
So we have a couple spots that used to be the home to a lot of wild birds, and last year those spots we didn't see any birds.
Really?
Yeah. Like almost limited out every time we were there, and last year nothing.
That's crazy.
It's kind of crazy, like to go in and be like, did derecho affect this? Because it was kind of right in the path.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have no idea.
That's the shitty thing, is you don't know, like, did some sort of predator population come in and wipe out their eggs or wipe them out, or did they pheasants don't really move a ton, but like, did they just move out of the area? Was it the rain? Like, what sucks is you don't know, which is frustrating.
I think I think the derecho helped the woodcock population close to me.
I believe that.
I can see that. Not last year. I didn't try hunting any, but this spring, I saw a very good amount of woodcock, and the place that I saw them, basically every single tree. Well, not every single, probably like 95% of every tree was cut off, snapped off at like 4 foot to 6 foot tall.
Oh, really?
They're all just flattened. And so I don't know if that has something to do with, what the woodcock like, because there's a lot of new regrowth, and there's a lot of now small trees growing up, that are skinny and whatnot. There's not any big trees left.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that draws them, and there's more openings for them. And
yeah, well, and like the biggest thing that we found is timing too, right? Because they're a migrating bird, and we had seen them before going up north, but last year, like it was woodcock paradise up there. Like I've never seen that many woodcock coming down. Like every patch of trees, like you're talking about, those shorter ones, little clumps, we flushed a woodcock out of. I think we killed 4 to 5 woodcock that weekend, and that was more than we had seen in prior years. So just like timing it too, and then having those prime areas, and obviously they like a little bit of wetland with it too, so if there's a little bit of water around it,
it's all wetland where they're at.
Yeah, that's perfect then. And yeah, it's all about timing too. If you get out there, if you follow along on some of the migration tracking websites, you can see pretty much where they're at all times, and timing it is everything.
I'll have to try that.
It's crazy to me that those birds, woodcock, are migrating birds.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know how they
small.
go that far. Like, when you see them flush, it's like they just flutter like a butterfly in the air. Like
you almost feel bad. It's like, aw, like
yeah.
Like, I mean, how do they? It's just it's super interesting, because where do they go the whole way down?
Yeah, like, and I think they migrate at night too, if I'm not mistaken.
How high they get, like what elevation they're.
So I was gonna say, I don't ever see these birds flying around.
Yeah, there's no V's of them going down.
No, exactly. No. I'm pretty sure they migrate at night, and they're just above treetop level. Like they're not big get up there birds. They're mainly at. I know you. Well, and that's like you said, when they get up, they don't flush quick. Like you can take your time. Like you think a small bird, they get up and like buzz away like a quail, but they get up and you can be like 1,000, 2,000, and still have a couple shots. And so.
Oh, that might be too far for Tyler though.
Nick would wait till 0.5 1,000.
Yeah, it'd be
blow the thing up.
I'm done.
Won't be much left of it.
I just
not much to begin with.
We actually flushed one out in the property we can hunt in western Minnesota. Have never seen one down there. My uncles have never seen one down there. Granted, they're probably never looking for them, but we pushed a grove, like a couple acre grove full of trees, and all of a sudden a tiny one got up and sneaked out the one side, and my buddy was like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, it's a woodcock, shoot it, and his gun jammed. But like the places you find them is so weird. And that like western Minnesota and one random grove patch in the middle of a egg field, like how do you end up there and hang out there of all places? And obviously haven't seen one since, but yeah, weird little birds, man.
Yeah. Have you ever hunted rough grouse?
Yeah, so when we're up north, we target them a little bit. Especially we normally we go up there in the end of September, and it's normally pretty hot. So during the middle of the day, we'll cool off in the shade in the woods and go after them a little bit. Only taking like one dog or two, and I think we killed two or three rough grouse last year. And so that was really cool. Got my cousin his first one, so.
Nice.
Yeah, fun birds, but like just super different too. Like walking in the wood, I don't know. I'm a big open prairie guy, so being in the woods is eerie, and especially with a dog who's not used to it, it's fun. It's different, but I'll take the prairie over the grouse woods.
Are you just running your Brittany during rough grouse?
Yeah, and my other buddy has a 2 or 3 year old GSP who was trained actually in northern Minnesota by a trainer who does grouse hunting. So
nice.
he likes to get her out, and that's kind of her prime area of the day when we do that. So yeah, flushing dogs stay back. When it gets to be like 65 to 75, like my dog, I just afraid of having a heat stroke at that point. Like you can stick around. I can't even
hardly get Diesel to go outside when it's that hot. He walks out, pees, and turns around, comes right back in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and so we always run into the heat factor, which sucks, man, because I have a golden. My two of my buddies have labs, so it's like they don't do well in the heat. So it's kind of nice to have the pointers and be like, all right, we'll hunt the flushers in the morning, pointers during the day, and then we kind of let them all go to town at night. But yeah, one day when it gets up past that, it's past that 78 degree time. It's no, thank you.
This past weekend, my sister was watching my lab Diesel, and she has a Gordon setter. Well, anyway, She was like, yeah, we let him out, and he'd go out, and she was, I shit you not, literally like 3 minutes later, he'd be at the door. My dog doesn't bark, but he would bark at them because he wanted back in.
Just uncomfortable.
Just doesn't like. I mean, and I don't know if that's just because he's getting older. I mean, he's never used to really be like that, but now it's just like,
sure.
Nope, it's hot and going back in. You know,
yeah.
He's got comfortable. He's becoming that house dog now, I guess.
Yeah, well, they know what they like, and I think I've heard too many horror stories, man, of guys who in early season run their dogs and their dog keels over in the field, and it's like it's just you hear one story like that and you're like, yeah, never letting my dog get overheated. Like I'll be way overcautious before I let that happen.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
Not at all.
I don't even really, and I've said this on previous podcasts, I don't really like train Diesel once it's hot out. We'll go on a mile or 2 mile walk, and that's it. Like he just does not do well in it.
Yeah, that's smart.
I've been getting up. Usually train them at like 5:30 in the morning because at least in the past couple mornings it's been like 58 degrees, and the sun. There's enough shade to chill in, and my training spot's literally 100 yards from my house, so it makes it pretty nice.
Yeah, it's perfect. I see you guys up in the middle of the summertime, like early. I'm like, holy! The story was posted an hour ago. I'm just waking up right now. I'll give you props, man. I also don't have a. Yeah, it's true.
Time, like I'm not gonna take him out at noon. We took him for a walk tonight. I always take him with my wife, and we always go on a walk every night.
Whoa! It's the first time I heard that verbiage out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Wife.
You just get married, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
It'll be I don't know when this podcast will air in like a week or so, but this Friday will be a full 3 weeks. So I guess when this podcast airs, it'll probably be a month.
Probably getting
That's
broke
awesome,
into, used to no sex.
Stop
You'll get there.
Stop the moment I said I do.
Yeah. You'll get there. That's cool. But yeah, like I'll run. We have a local, and people are gonna cringe when they hear this. We have a local dog park, but it is massive. Like it's got a swimming pond in it. Like I pull up my app right now. It's multiple acres. Like where they basically just go and run, and it's obviously fenced in, but you don't see many other dogs, and they have like an area specifically for like a swimming pond that you can take them and cool them off in. I know people in the dog world don't like dog parks, but when the two that we have around us or that I've been to are like actual places where you can like let your dog run and they can go for like my Brittany will put on 3 to 5 miles every time just because how big it is, and it's all wooded, so he's not running into other dogs. But that being said, that was my I had to preface that because I know dog park is kind of hated on in the hunting community. So anyways, we'll like normal, I'll have to wake up, get my son to daycare, and then we go right away. So it's still, when it's like July, it's still up there between like 65 and 75 some mornings at that time. So always keeping an eye on them and everything, and having water with is always key. But it's always in the back of my head, like just keeping an eye on him, especially my golden, to just make sure he's not acting funny. Because I've heard too many of those bad stories.
So years ago, and I'm not, I can't prove this, but I think I had another black lab. His name was Jackson, and he lived till he was 14, but dog just wanted to hunt, just wanted to hunt. So I took him to a pheasant farm, and dude was just all out as hard as he could go. And I think I hunted him too long, and then a few weeks later, he actually had an aneurysm, and I think I overheated him, and I think that's what caused it.
Oh man, that sucks. Yeah.
I mean, he was getting old, but I mean, it was just like that's not how because we were playing. It was one morning, and he was playing fetch, and he just came back, dropped the ball, and laid over on his side, and like wouldn't get up. And then he tried getting away from us.
Oh man.
Just tried to run away, but then he couldn't anymore, and then that was it. And
yeah.
Literally like 5 minutes, and it was just over with.
That's bad, man. That's too bad. And yeah, like my Golden's had seizures before, and so he had one at the dog park one time. I don't remember. I don't think it was due to heat. Like he's had a seizure or two now and then, and he's fine now. He hasn't had one in a little while, but it's one of those things where you're going through your head. You're like, what is going on right now? Like, why is this happening? Like, did I do something? And I'm sure I can imagine in that moment when you were dealing with that, it's like.
Oh, I think it was my fault, and I blame myself for it. It's bad. I mean, maybe it wasn't, but it makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, and at least I mean hindsight. I mean, 14 years old, man. That's a hell of a run, regardless. Like there could have been an underlying thing too. You never know, like what went there. So I mean, I've heard it happening to like puppies before too, like puppies who didn't train in heat, and that gets tough when you get out there to like South Dakota. You're like super excited. It's September 1st, first time to get them out, and yeah, man, just people got to be careful.
Well, it's just one of those things, that they love it, right? So then you love it too because you love watching them,
Yep.
And then you want to take them out and do what they love. And he was so old, I'm like, yeah, when I go out and do this, but then hindsight, probably killed him.
Yeah.
Which isn't funny, but
yeah.
What's your Golden do when it has the seizures?
For him, he just gets really tense and like balls up, and you can tell like, and we have hardwood floor, whatever, laminate floor. So like, I know his, like, and you guys get this with your dogs, their mannerisms and how they sound when they do things. And so since he's had a couple of his has happened on our floor before, like you hear when he's like stretching. I know what it sounds like when he stretches. I know what it sounds like when he's licking his paws, when his nails scrape against it. And so he normally like he'll ball up, and like I always like freak out if I hear something because I'm like, whoa, what's happening? That doesn't sound like him. And he'll like curl up, and he just kind of gets very stiff. And they're not long. I just get down on the ground. I hold him, pet him. Normally give him some CBD oil, which at that point it's probably too late. We just do it because it makes us feel a little better. Yeah, and calms them down, we think, a little quicker, but they don't last more than a minute or so, if that.
Does he drool
It,
a lot?
not really. Like he doesn't do anything funky, um, which which is good, I guess. Yeah, he just kind of curls up and he gets tense, and then like if he'll try to walk and he'll just like get kind of wobbly, and it's like no, dude, just chill, you're good, like I got you. And so knock on wood, nothing crazy has happened with him when it comes to those, but it's not fun to watch. Like you can tell they're uncomfortable as hell. So
Yeah, he'll have seizures
sure.
every once in a while. And the first one, um, geez, I don't even know. It was 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and he jumped off the couch and like basically his back legs kind of like gave out, you know.
Oh, really?
I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I thought he hurt himself.
Yep.
So I went and like tried to like lift him up, and then he's like, you could hear it feels like muscles spazzing on his
exactly
legs, you know. And I was like, oh my god, what is going? And I had no clue what was going on. Well, he got scared, and so like I just like set him there, you know, and I'm like, didn't really know what to do. Well, he got scared and tried to like stand up, and we were right next to the steps, and he fell down the stairs. And I was like, oh fuck. And so then I like finally like realized what was going on. You know, it was my first experience ever seeing a dog with a seizure, and I felt freaking horrible. But yeah, he'll drool, and then his pupils, his eyes are just like completely black.
Oh, yep.
And then he just wants to snuggle up to you super close during it. And they always say like keep your hands away from their mouths. You know, they might bite when they come out of it or something. And I've never had him do. He's never been aggressive at all when he comes out of them. He actually is like super like wants to be loved on, like
affectionate,
just like like jumping on you, like wanting to, you know, like just be basically cuddled, I guess you could say.
For sure.
So yeah, it's interesting, you know. And Lola, they're out of the same, you know, parents, and she's never had one. But
and how old are they now?
He's gonna be 5 in August, and Lola's 4.
Okay.
So
okay.
And I mean, it happens. You never know when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like there's no
haven't been able to pinpoint something. Yeah.
I thought maybe it was, you know, from low blood sugar.
Sure.
Or something, you know. And I asked the vet about that because he would have like sometimes he wouldn't eat, and then he'd have one and whatnot. But the vet's like, no, it's like it wouldn't be from. He doesn't think it's from that, and he's like, how often does it happen? And I'm like, I don't know, once every 4, 5, 6 months, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's not often enough to put him on any medication. And I've thought about doing some CBD stuff for him, just to like help him calm down. But
yeah, we normally keep that on deck just for every night. We have a Yorkie as well. That's a different story. It's a different story for another podcast. But he has them every now and then too. But he's a Yorkie, so we give it to him every now and then, just to calm him down a little bit if we're gonna leave him home or something. So we always have some on deck. I don't know if it does a whole lot. I've never been able to be like, oh yep, you can tell the CBD's kicked in. So but yeah, man, it's tough to watch him do that. And I think I've heard it's more likely in Goldens and Labs and any other breed. So as far as the hunting dogs go, so just seeing it happen sucks. But thankfully, I guess for both of us, at least they come out of it just wanting to cuddle and are just it's like they're happy to be done with it too. You know.
Yep. You'll have to connect. He just left a comment. Dave, he's been on Under 40 Yards. I don't know if you follow him.
Oh, I've seen his videos all the time. He has Sawyer's one of his pups, I think.
Yep. You'll have to connect with him, and he goes up to, I believe, Minnesota and hunt. So
absolutely, yeah. I've seen him on YouTube before, man. That's cool.
He's got some good videos.
But if you invite him, you gotta invite us.
Just make it a full on road trip, man.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So, no, it's we've talked about coming up to Minnesota because they open up. You guys open up what,
a week earlier than us.
Week
2
earlier?
Yeah, man.
2 weeks.
Or 2 weeks?
We're the
15th of
second.
October?
Normally we're the second weekend in October, so like this year it'll be
Yes.
the 15th, I think. So
How far
yeah, that's right. You
north?
guys.
How far north do you have to go to get into grouse? Like,
Ooh, that's a great
grouse?
question. About an hour or two north of the Twin Cities. I'd say like you can find grouse in like public land areas an hour north of the Twin Cities, but like that's going to be hammered by second weekend.
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be much there anymore. So if you wanted to get into good grouse country, like 2 to 3 hours north of the Twin Cities, and then yeah, we do pheasant hunting 2.5 hours west of the Twin Cities, and so that's right out by South Dakota, like on the South Dakota border, basically.
Oh, nice.
So.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. You guys want to get on
Okay,
pheasants earlier than you can, man. We got like 300 to 400 acres of land that we hunt, and then there's public land all around too. So we got plenty of it.
Do you have any Airbnbs next to you?
We actually, funny enough, we do, and I've used it once for a bachelor party, and we're using it again this year for a golf tournament. And it's like it
Is it
sleeps like
dog friendly?
15 people. Ooh, that's a good question. I do not know.
We'll
They have a
pretend it
garage
is.
though that
Yeah.
works too. But no, we normally my dad owns a camper or like a trailer, and then we have uncles that we just crash on couches with and stuff. So
Nice.
we bring a pretty big crew out for opener, and then after that it's kind of like onesie twosies as far as who likes to join after that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to get up and get on some Minnesota birds since it opens
Yeah, man.
up early.
Yeah, because it'd be about 5 to 6 hours. Because Minnesota for me is the Twin Cities. Mall of America is like 3 hours for me.
Got it. Okay.
We'll connect offline and get some more.
Yeah.
See where it's closer to, so that way you don't give out your spots.
Yeah, absolutely. And Southwest Minnesota is a great spot for pheasant hunting too. I've actually never been down there, but I got buddies who go down there every now and then. And public land is vast, and there's a lot of birds too. So that's a good spot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, we appreciate you coming on the podcast, talking about those Minnesota birds, and just talking about your hunting career and growing up, and getting your dogs and all that good
Yeah, man.
stuff. And be sure to check out the Huntwise app and try to give that some support.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
If anybody wants a membership or anything, let me know. We're not huge, obviously, in the upland game. Those who we will not name are obviously the big guy. But if anybody wants to try it out, I'll hook you up with a membership. We love all the feedback. And yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having me on. This is fun.
Yeah, for sure. We
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
Awesome. You have a good night.
Sweet.